Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of the Speak On It podcast. I'm your host, Big Mike. I am here doing this flying solo for the first time in a good little while, but I'm here. We're going to just do a quick recap tonight. I had the East play-in games tonight. Going to talk about that, talk about the West play-in games last night, quick preview of the NBA playoffs, talk about a wild night at UFC 300, and just get some predictions, talk to you out there, answer some comments, and just get with it. Again, I am your host, Big Mike, and we're here. Make sure you follow us everywhere that you get your podcasts. We are available everywhere: Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, YouTube, Twitch, Instagram Live will be coming. We are everywhere you get your podcast, Spotify. You want it, we got it. We'll be there for you. So let's get right to it. Let's talk about what happened tonight. The Philadelphia 76ers getting a win tonight against the Miami Heat in the first East play-in game, 7-8. The Sixers win 105-104. They had to claw and grind their way to a victory tonight, but they did it. They were able to get it done. They will move on to face my Knicks this weekend, Saturday, which should be a very interesting series, especially after watching tonight. The Sixers did not play as good as they've been playing for the last 2 weeks or so. Miami threw a zone at them, and they just could not figure out what to do with it until about midway through the third, and then finally they just started to play some defense. Maxey just started putting his head down and going to the hole like only he can, and you couple that with looks like a Jimmy Butler knee injury, which is not good for Miami, and you have Philly scratching and clawing their way to a victory. Nicholas Batum had an unbelievable game tonight. I don't know how many threes he hit. He was making defensive plays. He got away with a push that caused a backcourt violation on Tyler Hero late in the fourth. Nicholas Batum was everywhere tonight, and so they move on. They move on to play my Knicks in the first round. The Knicks are the 2 seed. Philly is now officially the 7. That is going to be an interesting series, to say the least. The Knicks and the Sixers, obviously, you don't have to say it when it's New York and Philly. The rivalry just speaks for itself. The Knicks were pretty decent against, I believe they went 2-1. I have to fact check that against the Sixers, but I know 2 of those wins were without Embiid. So he's back. He looked a little labored tonight. He could just still be playing himself into basketball shape. And obviously these tonight was a playoff game. So these playoff games are different type of energy, different type of cardio. So Joel looked a little labored going down the court, but he made big MVP plays when it counted. He got a big offensive rebound, put back and one. That was just a huge backbreaker late in the fourth, and the Sixers and the Knicks will play. Obviously, if you watch the show, you know we're all biased over here. Knicks in 6. That's all I gotta say. Knicks in 6. Go New York, go. We'll be here after every Knick game, except maybe game 1. But we'll be here recapping. The fellas will be here. We're all, if you're wondering why I'm alone, which I'm never alone on this show, life happens. It's life is happening for the fellas in the pod. There's a lot going on behind the scenes, but don't be alarmed. We are good. We will be here. We will all be popping up randomly over the next month, 6 weeks or so for this journey that is the NBA playoffs. We'll obviously have our guests, as we always do, our Boston correspondent, Blackheart. Maybe I haven't seen our Miami Heat correspondent since fantasy basketball started, and his team was the worst fantasy basketball team I've ever seen in my life. But maybe we will get a sighting from French, Flo, all of the Knick fans that you know and love. We'll all be here to break down what's going to be a fun NBA playoffs. Speaking of which, the only other play-in matchup that we know The Lakers last night beat the Pelicans in another crazy game where Zion was just going off, and then as we found out today, hurt his hamstring. He won't play tomorrow against the Kings, and I don't like that for New Orleans at all because the Kings looked very sharp and looked very good in eliminating the Warriors last night. Kings, Pelicans tomorrow. Winner will play the Oklahoma City Thunder, who got the 1 seed, which I think if Zion is healthy, either one of those teams, it's going to be a fun series with the Thunder. The Lakers move on to play the Nuggets. Already see everyone already throwing the dirt on the Lakers. I may be included in that, but I don't think the Nuggets are going to sweep the Lakers. I just think they're going to win, but it's going to be. It gives me the feels of when LeBron was with Cleveland playing those super warrior teams where it's just like, even if they play perfect, I don't know if they can win 4 times. Even a perfect 4 games may still only get them 2 or 3 wins because the Nuggets are really good and they're just a really bad matchup. Joker just has Anthony Davis's number, so unless AD comes through and plays out of his mind, we'll see how it goes. I don't know how good the Lakers are going to do. Right now, live as we're streaming, the Bulls and the Hawks are playing a 9-10 game. Winner will play the Heat tomorrow, I believe. And right now, Chicago is winning. They're up 6. DeMar DeRozan's already doing that thing where he's really good in the playoffs and nobody realizes how good he is because he's just had the worst luck of anyone I've seen. But keep an eye on that game as we're on live tonight. And yeah, if you're out there sending your comments, sending your questions, like I said, we're going to recap, go over some of these playoff series that we know of. The one that intrigues me the most, that has had the most chatter in our group chat, is this Mavs Clippers 4-5 matchup in the West. You got Luka, Kyrie, the Mavs, who may possibly be the hottest team in the league right now. Went at one point, I believe they were the 9 seed, and they climbed all the way up to 5, going against the Clippers, who had got all the way up to 2, and then kind of got nicked up with injuries. Kawhi hurt his back. PG was hurt a little bit. Westbrook broke his hand. Feels like the Clippers are healthy, but this is it. This is the money time. This is what these guys were brought here for. Harden, PG, Kawhi, Westbrook. This is it. This is the big time now. Luka always plays well against the Clippers, but it's going to take MVP Luka for them to beat the Clippers. But I think that we're going to get MVP Luka, and I think the Mavericks are going to win this series in 7 in what I think will be the most entertaining series on either conference in the first round. Also on the East, the 4-5 matchup is the Cavs versus the Magic, which is an intriguing series because I don't know if we know quite yet if the Magic are ready for this moment. They've played very well all year, had a chance to get as high as 3 up until the last day of the season. Cleveland, interesting enough, on the last day of the season, benched all their starters in the fourth quarter and kind of, I don't want to say tanked, but you bench all your starters in the fourth, lose to Charlotte, and get the 4th seed and fall right into a matchup with Orlando. So it looks like this is what Cleveland wanted. So if this is what you wanted, got to take care of business. Cleveland's been flying under the radar since they had that hot streak in early March where they got up to the 2 seed, and now here we are in the playoffs, ready to go. Donovan Mitchell, it's going to be a lot on his plate. This Orlando team plays really good defense, and they are really good. Hopefully Cleveland learned from, their experience with the Knicks last year. where I thought that they just wasn't ready for the moment. They should be ready for it. They have home court again. Should be a fun series. Also, other confirmed series, the 3-6 Minnesota versus Phoenix, which I think is a toss-up. I see a lot of people kind of dismissing Phoenix. I wouldn't dismiss Phoenix. They still have Devin Booker on that team, and they still have that guy named Kevin Durant. I know Ant-Man is back, is playing amazing MVP type ball. Karl Anthony Towns is back. Rudy Gobert will be there, roaming, getting killed on pick and rolls. But this series is very interesting. I think Minnesota, it will be a tale of pace. If Phoenix can get this fast pace and running up and down and get this game in the hundreds and the 110s, Phoenix has a chance to win. I think if Minnesota can keep it to the low hundreds, high 90s, that's not what Phoenix wants to do. In the end, I'm going to pick Phoenix, but I am nervous. I wouldn't put any Gatorade on it. Speaking of Gatorade, UFC 300 was this past weekend, or 2 weeks, this past weekend. And if you follow the show, you know me and Dylan do Gatorade bets on all these big UFC events. And if you follow us, you know that Dylan loses to me all the time in these UFC Gatorade bets. And don't worry, the streak continues. I once again won 3 more Gatorade from Dylan off of UFC 300, and it is all 100% thanks to Max Holloway delivering what might be the greatest knockout in UFC history. It's definitely one of the best I've ever seen. I've never seen anything like that, especially for someone to be winning going into the last 15 seconds, demand your opponent meet you in the middle of the cage and square up, and then one punch knock him out in that square up. It was unbelievable. Max Holloway is a dog. He is now the BMF champion, and he is the BMF champion for a reason, because that was a BMF knockout, and I am ecstatic that he did it and got me 3 more Gatorade that we will add to the collection. We will have more on UFC 300 when Dylan returns, because I know he wants to recap it. Just an update, Chicago has now pushed this lead up to 13 as the first quarter is about to end. But we will keep moving on to talk about, I'm here, so you know what I want to talk about, women's basketball. The WNBA draft was also this week since we've been off. And to no one's surprise, Caitlin Clark, we didn't even talk about the Final Four. We've been off since the women's Final Four. Shout out to South Carolina and Dawn Staley winning the national championship, beating Iowa in the championship game after Iowa beat LSU to get there. Caitlin Clark played an amazing game against LSU. They just could not stop her. She made big plays when they needed it, and they moved on. Tough that was an elite. Tough that was not a championship game, a Final Four game. It was an Elite Eight game. Iowa then did what they had to do against UConn in a very controversial game. That the last call with 4 seconds to go, an offensive foul, which still, as many times as I've seen that replay, I still don't like that call. Cannot call that call with 4 seconds to go. Offensive foul that did not affect the play at all. It's a tough way to be eliminated. But Iowa won, moved on to the championship to face South Carolina, and South Carolina just suffocated them with defense in the second half. Caitlin Clark, she tried, she played, but she did not have a good game. Raven Johnson was all over her, and it just, South Carolina completed the undefeated season, and Dawn Staley cementing her legacy as one of the greatest coaches ever and one of the greatest basketball figures ever. She has multiple championships now as a college coach. She was a champion in college herself. She has gold medals. She played in the WNBA. I mean, Dawn Staley is one of the greats of all time. And respect needs to get put on her name because she is now in that elite upper echelon blue blood company of coaches. And you love to see it. You love to see Coach Staley finally let a little bit of emotion out when she got on that stage, thanking the Almighty, and just it was a great scene. It was a great scene. Caitlin Clark went number 1. Angel Reese went number 7, joining Cardosa from South Carolina in Chicago, which the new female Twin Towers is here. And Chicago is going to be very good very quickly with those two in the middle. Angel Reese being able to now play the 2 or probably the 3, and Cardosa playing the center. Obviously, Chicago will be defensively very tough to beat inside. I still think it's a 3-team race. It's the Liberty, it's the Aces, and everyone else. But it's going to be a fun season. We'll keep track of it all summer. Just wanted to shout out the ladies. Make sure they get some love because, if we're not going to do it, who will? If you didn't know, the Rangers, I think, are in the playoffs. I don't care. Hockey playoffs will start soon. The Rangers will lose in the first or second round, so it doesn't matter. The guys aren't here. It doesn't matter. So, moving right along, the NFL draft is in a week, I believe, 8 days from now, the 22nd. I don't know how many days that is, but still a lot of interesting moves. Caleb Williams seems to be going number 1. The Commanders today were working out multiple quarterbacks, which is interesting because they have the number 2 pick, and you would think a week before the draft you would have a pretty good idea of who you're going to pick without having to work out more quarterbacks, unless you were trying to work out quarterbacks because you're going to move out of that spot and you need to make sure you work all these quarterbacks out so that if they're available wherever you fall to, you know who to take. But keep an eye on that. Maybe they just wanted a second look at 5 quarterbacks because that makes a lot of sense. Quick recap. I'll recap our preseason NBA predictions more when the fellas are here, just so we can laugh. I know James wants to have his victory run about picking the Magic to win 45 games, which was a great pick. They had a great season. They did not finish with more wins than the Knicks, but nevertheless, it was a great pick. Shout out to Rods getting the Kawhi Leonard pick right. But we'll recap, like I said, we'll recap all of that down the line. Just wanted to come on tonight and just show my face, let everyone know that we're here. We'll be, like I said, post-game live. We'll be back with special guests. In the comments, make sure you join us, like, share, subscribe, and let us know how you feel about the games. If you've been with us these last 2 years, you know that anything can happen on post-game live, where we just let it fly with live reaction to the games in real time. Case in point, Chicago is up 18 and looking like they're about to end Atlanta's horrible season. Once again, there will be no Ice Tray in the playoffs this year because they are getting smoked. But I won't say it's over because I respect Trae Young too much. If he gets hot, he can make an 18-point lead evaporate, and Chicago's not that good. So it's not over, but it's not looking good. Again, thanks for joining us. I do think the playoffs will be good. I forgot to preview Milwaukee, Indiana. That series is also interesting because of Giannis's health, and there is tension with these two teams. I don't know if you guys remember earlier this year, Giannis scored 64 on the Pacers, and some I don't want to insult him, but some other player on the Pacers scored his first basket, and the Pacers, for whatever reason, decided they wanted to keep the game ball, and Giannis, who broke the record for points by Milwaukee Buck, also wanted the ball, and Indiana took the ball, and we've all seen the footage of Giannis running, sprinting up the tunnel to grab the ball, and then a scuffle pushing match ensured about getting the ball. Streets don't know if Giannis ever got the ball back, but I know that these two teams don't really like each other. The Pacers are really good. Giannis compromised. The experiment with Doc doesn't seem to be working, although everyone's, screaming for Doc to be fired. It's literally been 35 games, so it's not like it's been 2 years or 3 years. It's literally been 30 years. It hasn't even been the equivalent of half a season. So let's see how it plays out. See if the Bucks. I do think Milwaukee will win this series, but I think they're gonna have to fight tooth and nail to get this series, and probably 7, to be honest. And it is gonna be a rough series for them. I think Indiana is going to come to play. I wouldn't be surprised if Indiana wins game 1. It is, I think, that much of Indiana. I think Tyrese Halliburton, even though he kind of fell off the second half of the year, it was more so because he got a little nicked up and just never got back into the flow, into the rhythm. But this Indiana team is good. Siakam is there. This Pacer team will be reckoned with. Bucks in 7. Bucks in 7. Mavs in 7. Nuggets in 6. Knicks in 6. I don't know who OKC is playing. It depends. But I'll probably still pick OKC in 6 regardless, even though I would be tempted to pick Sacramento in that series. Boston in 4. I'm watching Chicago right now. I just finished watching the Heat. Neither one of those teams is getting a game from Boston. They might get game 1, maybe, if Boston's still sleepwalking, as they have been for the last 2-3 weeks. But Boston's going to destroy both of those teams. That will be the preseason for Boston, getting ready for round 2 and the conference finals and the finals, where they may run into the Nuggets, or they may run into the Knicks. So once the real teams start showing up. So we'll see how Boston reacts with that. Trying to think, is there anything else to recap? I mean, of course, there's one more thing. As you know, Speak on a Podcast, we cover everything here. And we wouldn't be who we are if we didn't talk about this rap beef going on. Drake versus everyone, the Avengers versus Drake, however you want to put it. Kendrick, Future, Metro Boomin, Rick Ross all seem to have problems with Drake, and Kendrick with J. Cole, and they've just been going back and forth. Rick Ross has been doing his thing where he posts these videos. Everyone's calling out Drake. Everyone's saying Drake is soft, ain't got these bars. We're waiting for an official response. I think Kendrick, it's like Kendrick was a really good verse that he did on that, like that. Gotta see. Everyone talking about Cole apologizing. Listen, we all selfishly want Cole to respond with the bars. That's what we want. I want that. We all want that. Am I mad that we're not getting that right now? Yeah, a little bit. I wish Cole would just, show them what's what. But am I mad at his explanation? No, I respect it. I respect his decision. He's grown. He ain't got time for these games. He don't want none. He's not about to put on for nobody. He's not about to be fake and phony and act like he doesn't like Kendrick when he does. Kendrick, on the other hand, clearly looking to burn every bridge and salt the earth. So we'll see if Cole responds to Kendrick rejecting the olive branch, and see if Cole and Drake team up to give us something. But I think this is just what the rap game needs, just to give it a little bit of life. It's been a little dry the last few months, It's been dry, so dry that the only thing we can talk about is Diddy, and it's not where we need the culture right now. We need the culture away from Diddy. Diddy can't be the biggest thing going on in the culture right now. So we love this, love the beef, keep it on wax. Shout out to Mr. C, legendary hip hop producer, Hot 97, Biggie's man. He that basically found Biggie. Sadly passed away this week. I know if you're from New York like me, you know Mr. C, you know his voice. It was a big loss. That didn't sit right with me when I heard that news. Uh, we can address the elephant in the room. O.J. Simpson passed away. Uh, yeah, I'm not touching that. I'm not touching O.J. Rest in. Hope that man gets some rest. We'll, we'll end it like that. Hope that man gets some rest. This has been just a quick, like I said, recap. As quickly as the Bulls jumped out to that 13-point lead, they're now only up 4, which furthers my point that neither one of these teams, even if they manage to beat Miami, which that's only happening if Jimmy Butler doesn't play, but even if that crazy scenario happens, they're not beating Boston. Neither one of these two teams may get within 10 points if Boston decides that they want to play for real. So this is nice. This game is just background noise. It's no disrespect. These are not playoff teams. Neither one of these teams are over 500. They are just lucky that the rules are in place as they are, that they get this. The Bulls get this extra home game because this is just a waste of everybody's time because the inevitable is coming, which is Boston. It's going to destroy them, Atlanta, Miami, probably all in the same night. They could probably beat them all in the same night. Doesn't matter. Sure, Blackheart will love that. But shout out to Cody Rhodes. Finished the story in what just got to be one of the best WrestleManias I've ever seen. One of the best matches I've ever seen. The emotion, the storytelling. Chef's kiss. If you don't know, you don't know. Sorry for you. Gonna wrap this up. We're gonna do this with a quick I'm him. I already said it. I'm him for this week is Max Holloway. Again, one of the greatest knockouts I've ever seen in my life. Crazy one punch Holloway on Justin Gaethje, who I routinely joke is made of Teflon leather because he never seems to get hurt in these crazy brawls that he always gets in. Until he met Max Holloway, and Max Holloway put him down with one punch. And it was a great fight by Max. The spinning back kicks was killing. He was timing it. Max was just very, very sharp. He was just very sharp. And it was just nothing. I don't know who would have beaten. Who would have beaten? So I'm him. I'm him goes to Max Holloway. Uh, Follow me on all these socials. I am MBJ on everything. Like I said, we'll be back this weekend. If not Saturday, definitely Knicks play game 2 Monday night. So I can guarantee you we'll be back for game 2 Knicks Sixers after that game for post game live. Be fun. May have some guests on Monday. May or may not get an appearance from Breezy, who's been on maternity leave taking care of my new niece Elle. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. But just wanted to touch base, let you guys see us, feel us. We're going to be back and better than ever. We've got some big changes. I've got an announcement coming up that I'll probably do next week on the future of the podcast. But I promise you, we are not going anywhere. So make sure you hit that like, share, and subscribe button. Make sure you hit that notification button so you know when we go live, because as unpredictable as these playoff games will be, you'll never know when we're coming on live unless you hit that notification button so you know when we're going to go live and you get that ping. So from me to you, shout out to the fellas, Anthony, Roz, James, Dylan, shout out to the fellas. From me to you, this is just a quick wrap up of tonight's playing games and a preview for the playoffs coming up. Stay blessed. Everyone have a good night.